So you might remember before I mentioned that the gear shifter was really wobbly. So a demonstration, that is currently in first. That's in gear. So I think the bushings are just worn out. It could be more than that, I suppose. But what that means is first official mod time. Now this is a cheap, very cheap eBay short shifter. Really only bought it because of the fact, well, it was cheap. But also because of the bushings, obviously the newer bushings. If this gets to a point where obviously it doesn't last very long, okay, I get a new one. I have heard that some of these, that the really cheap ones, can break. This is definitely very light, very light. It sounds like it might actually be hollow instead of solid, so there's a good potential this breaks. I'm sure that in further episodes you'll remind me that I said that. I'm sure. But either way, we're going to whack this in. I'll keep the original one just in case I need to change it back in a hurry. But we'll change that one over, and then the choice will be: do I use this that I found in the car? It's really kind of scratched up, but I'm assuming it was somebody's choice at some point. Or do I just use the OEM one? I don't know, what do you think? I think it makes sense at this point just to check that it fits the new one. Sorry, I'm going to need like 3 hands for this, or maybe some sort of GoPro mount or something. But yep, that's winding on, so that's all good. Alright, I've got to get under the car, I guess. So from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like it's in particularly bad shape. I reckon it's probably just the internal bushings within the shifter itself, because everything else there actually looks like it's in pretty good nick. So we'll work on taking this out, change it over, hopefully it helps. If it doesn't, obviously we can look at what else there might be. Could just be something to do with these cars, I don't know. But we'll take it out, have a look, see what we can do. So you might have seen me struggling just a little bit. The reason was at the other side of this, these are actually square, and the bolts in the top of them are supposed to seat in those squares so that you can undo the nuts on the other side without the bolt spinning. But those bolts were not doing that; they were spinning, and it was a fair amount of effort to get them to stop spinning. Anyway, got there in the end. Now the top one, that's the original one. I'm assuming that's the OEM one. I actually don't know. I can't see any part numbers or anything like that on it, so who knows? It could be, maybe not. There's quite a lot of obviously friction that's happened here, so I can't feel any grease on that at all. So I'm assuming it's been dry for some time, which is not great. The bushings, I can't see a huge amount of slop in those, so that may not be the factor that's at play here. Having said that, the actual bushing that goes around, the rubber bushing that goes around it, is in pieces. I don't have another one of those. I might see if I can find one at some point. I'm going to have to reuse this one for now. So the majority of them actually look like they're in really good shape. I can even see Loctite on the end of some of those, so it might be that it was changed at some point. So this may even be an aftermarket one. This is the newer one. Now, a couple of things you'll notice on this one, if you line up where that's going to sit, because that'll sit in exactly the same spot. This is much longer, which means, and the way the short shifter works, obviously, it's a greater leverage when it's pulling and pushing the gear linkages. I know there's a better word for that. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, the linkages, as it's pulling, pushing the linkages, so it's creating more leverage, which means it doesn't have to, the top end doesn't have to go as far. Now on top of that, this is much shorter, which means obviously again that kind of increases the effect. At some point I'd actually like one that's longer so I can be up closer to the steering wheel, etc. But I'm just going to make do with this for now, see if that makes a bit of a difference. So that's it, it's all done now. So now it's, as you can probably tell, it's much shorter. It is a bit stiffer. I might see whether I need to have it quite that stiff. But yeah, that's definitely definitely a shorter throw on it. And look, if I put it into gear, there's still a bit of wobble in there, but there's really not that much, especially by the time you put it up into third, for instance. You're not getting that much wobble around. So that's good. Done. This is crusty. This is nasty. Ugh. So I chickened out a little bit after this video. I cleaned the car. The carpet was terrible. There was chips, there was popcorn, there was chocolate, there was all sorts of stuff, and I just didn't want to be in that. The other thing is that because the car was in such a messy state, both inside and outside, I figured maybe I've got a better chance of getting past the blue slip inspection if it looks like I care about it. So I did clean the car. I'll come clean on that one. The car is currently being inspected, and we'll find out how it comes out. So I know a lot of what we've been doing so far is just kind of prepping the car and getting a few bits and pieces ready, but once this registration's all done, that'll mean that we'll actually be able to go out and do something with it. So what do you think I should do first? Track day, drags. The purpose at this point is purely just benchmarking, just to see what it can do in its current form, which won't be much, but then it's going to be about, okay, making some changes and seeing if we can get it faster and to handle better and all that sort of stuff. So what do you think we should do first?